love, and welcome back to another video. I am Pauline, for those of you who are new here, and this is like the Loc Education channel. This is all your lock information. Anything you need about locks is here, baby. Well, most things, because I don't know everything, but what I do know, I will share, okay? So if you're someone who want to learn how to do locks, I have classes for that. I have courses, but this is just information for information for locticians or people who are considering locking their hair, need support, or if you already locked and you need support along your journey. I'm your girl. Okay, let's get into this. I know last week we talked about the consultation, why a transfer consultation is necessary, and even why starter lock consultation is necessary. But today I'm going to go a little bit deeper because some of y'all was probably like, well, I don't know what to ask. Because I told y'all, ask questions when you do your consultations. And don't just sit there, let them look at your hair, and then that's it. Ask questions. So today we're going to talk about the consultation checklist. Okay, let's get into this checklist, okay? So, and this checklist is beneficial for both the client and the loctician. Both of y'all could use this, okay? As a client, you're going to be armed with the information, so you at least know what to ask. If you go to, and you're like, I don't know. I guess you told me everything. I don't know. And then you get screwed over. You're like, what? I thought she done played in my hair. She done played me. And then if you were a loctician, you're like, I'm just getting started. I don't know what's the type of questions to ask. I got y'all. Tune in. Come closer, tune in. Okay, so once you book your once you book your consultation because you're ready to get your hair locked, right? And loctician, that person unbooked and they're getting ready to come. Here are the things that you want to at least consider. I got my list so I don't forget anything because, baby, I'm a squirrel. I start talking about one thing and then I'm like, ooh. So let me stay focused. All right, so when you do your lock consultation, we need to know the hair history. We need to know how you typically style your hair. We need to know if you've been pressing your hair. We need to know if you've been coloring, if you have chemical services. We need to know all of that because that's going to matter in how your locks behave when you lock. And listen, and if you're the client and you're lying about when you got your hair pressed, when was last color treated, if you're lying, don't worry. It will that lie will show up later in your hair. So don't even bother lying about, I child pressed my hair a year ago, baby. If that heat damage is there and you did not cut it off, it is still there. I colored my hair about 2 years ago. Well, did you cut your hair 2 years ago when you colored? After that? No. The color grew out, but you never cut it off. You still got color in your hair. It's still chemically treated, okay? So, please, y'all be tripping me up when I ask, have you colored your hair? And the answer is no, especially for color treated services. The answer be no. And then I go color, and of course, the lie is exposed. And I'm like, I thought you said you didn't color your hair. I didn't. Why it looked like this. That was about 2 years ago when I colored my hair. I didn't know it was going to do it. Y'all better be honest. We cannot be truthful to your lie, okay? So please, we need to know your hair history because it's going to matter with how your locks show up. And we might have to change up our technique just to, accommodate the locking technique you want to go with and so forth, okay? So we want to talk about the hair history, okay? We also want to look at your scalp. Now, some of y'all might be, coming to to the consultation. You've done shampooed your hair. It's clean. So we may not see an obvious scalp condition because you're coming with a fresh, clean scalp. But if you have scalp conditions like dandruffs, dryness, sensitivities, seborrheic dermatitis, all that stuff, say something, okay? Because that, as a loctician, we might have to change the course of the plan. Loctician, ask them. I don't care if their scalp look clean, whatever. Ask them. If you see some patchiness, some dryness, some redness, some thinness, ask questions because that is going to play a role. It's going to affect how things behave down the road. So ask about the condition of the scalp. Examine it. You want to examine the scalp, okay? Because if you're a loctician who don't shampoo, you're going to have to give this client specific regimen and different things like that so they can do on their own. So when they come to their appointment, you're not swimming in snow, okay? Been there, done that. Ugh. We don't want to be covered in snow. Loctician, find out so you can tell them what they need to do before coming to your appointment. You might have to make some product recommendation. You might have to make some treatment recommendation. You might have to tell them something so they can come with their hair in the state that you want it to be in order for you to perform your task. Okay. All right. Lifestyle. Find out. We got to talk about the lifestyle and the hair care routine. Do they exercise? Are they going through menopause? Do they sweat at night? I mean, we need to know that stuff. We need to know. Yes, we need to know your business. We don't want to be in your business, but the hair requires us to be in your business just a little bit, okay? Because let me tell you, if you don't deal with that, if you don't find that stuff out so you can come up with the best plan later on, baby, you're going to be, both of y'all going to be like, whew. And then you might get fired and don't even know. It's because they don't want to deal with all the slippage. They don't want to deal with your hair no more. Okay. So talk about lifestyle and hair care routine. What's this person's shampoo regimen? Find all that stuff out. And I would document, because the minute somebody come to me with, but my hair isn't doing this. Well, you told me you don't wash your hair every so then we can. So find that out. Lifestyle, hair care routine. Let's get into it, okay? Now, so that's like finding out more about the client, right? And the history and what they got going on. When it comes to the expectation, now I want to go into the desires of this client. And client, you need to know what you desire, okay? What is your preferred locking method? I always ask that question. I don't care if you're coming in for Sisterlocs. I still ask, what is your preferred or desired locking method? I ask you because I want to know what you want, and then I have to come back and tell you what your hair can do. And then we might have to find some type of compromise and all this other stuff. So preferred lock. What is your preferred locking method? Do you prefer traditional locks? Do you prefer interlocking? Do you prefer 2-strand twists, Microlocs, Sisterlocs, whatever? You want freeform locks? What do you want? Crochet locks? What do you want? What are your desires? And then I can do a hair analysis. From the hair analysis, I can tell you, well, here's what your hair can handle. And then we go from there, right? What is your desired lock size? What is your preferred parting size? Now, there's always confusion when I say part size. People want to talk about, well, this is the size lock I want. Okay, this don't tell me nothing. This just tells me you want tiny locks, okay? But this doesn't tell me anything. Now, I can make some speculations. But in order for us to be on the same page, this tells me nothing. When I say part size, I want to know the square size you desire. Because a lot of y'all go onto other people's pages. Please bring your hair influence. Bring your hair crush. Bring all of that. Because we're going to sit down and I will analyze. I will tell you about all their hair and then look at yours and tell you what yours can do or not. So what is your desired part size? Y'all, some clients come and say, I want 600 locks, but you have fine low density hair. You can get 600 locks. Some of y'all have thick, high density hair and you want 600 locks, but your hairline starts back here. You cannot get 600 locks. Okay. I'm not trying to be funny, but I'm just the things that I'll be coming with. Okay. So what is your desired part size, lock size? I don't mind asking you about your lock size. And then based on the density of your hair, based on the thickness of your hair, two different things, I will say, yeah, you can get that size. That means, and we talk about the differences with the density and the thickness. We talk about it. We can certainly do that. Okay. But I need to have some type of desires when you come so that y'all can communicate. And locticians ask, what's the lock size that you desire? What's the part size that you desire? And then y'all can work together and come up with a solution based on what the person hair can handle. And even though the person you're like, well, why I got to ask them their desires if their hair is going to tell me what they need? Because we want to consider the client. The hair might tell you multiple things, but we still want to know what the client wants. Okay. All right. What's their expectation when it comes to volume? Let's talk about that. You have people with fine, low density hair. You got some with this and, some got a lot of volume. They're like, girl, I want all that volume. But then you went really small and they're like, who is a lion's mane? Like, you want to ask about those things so you know which way to go. Because a lot of times your client is not going to know all that you know. And so they're going to come with expectation and it's your job to educate them. Like, okay, I know this is what you want, but if you get that, but you also want this, it's not going to work. Like, you got to educate them. So the volume. So volume is important to me when somebody has fine low density hair and they're like, I want volume. I don't want the pluck chicken phase, but I want an interlock. And I'll say, well, you might want to consider starting off with 2-strand twists because it's going to give you more volume than interlocking. But then you also have to know, can their hair handle the 2-strand twist and so forth. Yeah, I know what I'm saying. Okay, moving on. And I always ask, like I said, I ask for reference photos. I need to see because sometimes what people say and what they show you, two different things. So I need reference photos. Show me your lock crush. Show me the locks that you want so that I can see what you're saying matches what you're showing me. Okay, because I got clients, they be like, I want my hair honey blonde. Especially when it comes to color, right? And then they show me a picture. I'm like, girl, that's not honey blonde. That's not honey blonde. Like, you say you want honey blonde, but then the picture you show me is more of a red copper. Like, that's copper. That's not honey blonde. So I always ask to see, show me your inspiration, and then we go from there, okay? All right. Then you, as the loctician, you want to do a hair assessment, okay? In the hair assessment, you want to look at the hair type, like the curl pattern. You want to look at the hair density. You want to look at the hair thickness. All of that stuff is going to better help you to determine the best locking method for them, okay? You also want to, okay, so that's the assessment. Then you want to talk about the maintenance frequency. I met somebody who told me, I love Sisterlocs, but I can't be doing no 4 to 6 weeks retie. And I'm like, but then you don't want Sisterlocs. So you have to ask them about what they're willing to do or what is their expectation for maintenance. So when somebody tell me they want Sisterlocs, but they don't want to stick to a 4 to 6 week schedule, I'm like, okay, well, can you at least do 7 weeks? Nah, I'm thinking more like 12 weeks. I'm like, then you don't want Sisterlocs. Let's try Microlocs on the bigger side. Let's do a 1/2 inch part where you can get away with 12 weeks, get your hair done 4 times a year, and you'll be okay. But if you want anything smaller, that's not going to work. You won't have hair a few years down the road if you're trying to go that long without a retie and you don't have the hair type to support the length of time that you're trying to do. So fine, low density hair, that's a whole nother video I did. Go watch it. It's somewhere. Just type in popular videos. One of them will come up. But talk about the frequency that they're trying to keep up with, okay? If they're not trying to maintain as often, if they want more freedom, then I'll let them know Sisterlocs might not be the best for you. If you don't want a tight schedule, then I'll let the client know, then let's explore other options other than Sisterlocs. Now, some people will say, I got Sisterlocs and I do it every 12 weeks. That everybody's situation is different. If you got thick, high density hair and you got Sisterlocs and you do every 12 weeks, you absolutely can do that without breakage. But the consistency in your lock might look different. It might be the strand of the lock might not be as smooth, but you won't lose hair. But some people find low density, they don't have that option. Okay, moving on. So we talked about the maintenance schedule, the retie frequency, and then you want to talk about the product and talk about their care, the product care and all this other stuff. Talk about the products because some folks want to still use certain products that's not going to work with locks. So let them know what their new product regimen is going to look like. I'll be telling folks you just need about 3 things. 3, and that's it. They want to do all this stuff. You can't do that when you lock, especially not right away. And the beginning is more strict, okay? So talk about the product expectation, all right? Then you want to talk about pricing. Go and talk about the install pricing, right? The breakdown, however you do it. Some of y'all charge if they got big head, small head, 22-inch head, 32-inch head. I don't know. Some of y'all charge by the circumference or whatever. However you do your pricing, break it down to like your client so they know what to expect, okay? And then talk about the maintenance costs. How often do they need to come? And what is the cost every time they come? If they go over, what is that cost? If there's repairs that needs to be done, what is that cost? Should they schedule repair and retire on the same schedule? Like, how are you going to handle that and make sure you communicate that so they know what they can expect when locking, on their journey, okay? Because locks are not expensive to me. Some of y'all say, "Ooh, locks expensive." Locks are not expensive. When you compare to all your other beauty treatments, for the beauty people out there, it is not expensive. Some of y'all got like 10 wigs at home that has surpassed the cost of an install. Some of y'all, before you decide to lock, you are going to the salon every 2 weeks. Do the math. Locks are not expensive. Y'all go get y'all nails done every 2 to 3 weeks. Do the math. Locks aren't expensive. Now, you might find locks to be expensive if you don't do any other beauty treatments. If you don't get your nails done, you didn't go to the hair salon prior, you didn't go get waxed every month, you didn't do none of that, then yes, to you, locks might be expensive because you're used to the free 99, which is you doing your own hair. And the only thing that cost you money was products. So this does not, but for those of you, y'all know, those of you who get your nails done every 2 weeks, and they be like, okay, you know, you getting your nails and toes done, y'all and the bling, y'all got the claw nails, y'all got all of that. Y'all know, compared to locks, locks aren't expensive, okay? So make sure y'all talk about these prices, all right? And then you want to talk about the appointment availability, the booking process, because some folks don't want to be bothered with you texting talking about, can you book my appointment? No, go to the site. That's some folks will, you know, they have a site for a reason. So find out the appointment availability, how, you know, when can you come in? When is it available for you? Booking process and all that stuff. And then if there's any home care that you recommend your clients do, let them know what that home care is going to be like, okay? And then if y'all need to do something at the end, if the client decides to book with you and y'all need to do some type of client agreement or whatever, then y'all do that, okay? So that is pretty much the process that I like to do for a consultation. Those are the things. Even if the client asks me questions, I'm going through all of that. I'm gonna sit down and talk about all that. I'm gonna tell you all of that, whether you ask me or not. So by the time I'm done with my part, they're like, oh, you answered everything. I ain't got no questions. Okay, we good. So if you have any questions, comments, or whatever, put them in the comment below, in the comment section. Like, subscribe, share, do all the beautiful things that you can do to help support my channel and to help other people find this information so they can enjoy their lock journey, okay? Love y'all and thank y'all for watching.